So with that, you can either stand where you are, you can come up here and use this. It's not a tremendous PA system. And so Chuck, Chuck is going to go to the Kirbyville banquet. Do any of y'all going? Okay, you're going. Okay, if you'll go next, that way if you have to cut out early, you can. Okay, thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Chuck Havard. Can everybody hear me? I'm Chuck Havard. I'm a candidate for Jasper County Sheriff. First of all, I appreciate you guys coming. It's always good to see people get involved and have a difference in their government. In this case here, particularly, who's going to be your next county sheriff? You know, I tell people all the time, a county sheriff is a very important job for everybody. We depend on our county sheriff to protect our property, protect our family, and among many other things. So to tell you a little bit about me, I'm 49. I live about 8 miles south up here on 62. I graduated high school in '93 from Kirbyville. Shortly after that, I attended the Angelina College Police Academy in Lufkin. Became a police officer when I was 21, went to work for the Kirbyville Police Department. That was in '96, which feels like a very long time ago. And so I spent a year there. Then I went to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. I was a deputy sheriff for about 2 years. And in 1998, one of my biggest dreams in life, I wanted to be a DPS officer. So, '98, I became a DPS trooper, and I worked at Jasper County, Orange County, several counties in southeast Texas. And about 4 years into it, I decided to join the promotional arena of that agency and become a highway patrol sergeant. And some of my responsibilities there were I was in charge of the highway patrol operations in San Jacinto County, Trinity County, Jefferson County, Orange County, and then I transferred back to Beaumont where I was in charge of the Jefferson County Highway Patrol operations, all keeping my house here in Jasper County. A lot of times renting another house. We didn't make any money, so it was always a struggle back then with the DPS. And the last several years, they kind of upped our pay a little bit, so it helped some. But anyway, in 2016, I promoted to lieutenant. I was in charge of our Highway Patrol district, the 8 counties in our Highway Patrol District 2B. And so I stayed there for 25 years. I have a bachelor's degree in college, graduated from McNeese. I went back to school when I was 35. So anybody out there in school, stay in school because you don't want to go back to college when you're 35, I promise you. I'm a FBI Trilogy Award recipient. I'm a Master Peace Officer through TCOL. I have about 3,600 clock hours of police training. And in a nutshell, that's a little bit about me. And so I do think that I can provide some effective leadership and improve our Sheriff's Department operations. And I'll be happy to stay after here. I think my time's about up, but I'll hang out. If y'all got any questions, let me know. And I appreciate your vote and your support. We're going to make a difference in the county. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Hello, can y'all hear me? Ashley R.C. I'm running for Jasper County Constable Precinct 3. A little bit about me is I have been a law enforcement officer for 12 years. I have been a mental health deputy. I've worked for the schools. The school zone and all of that is very important to me. I have about 1,700 TCO hours. I'm an advanced police officer. What else? I mean, I believe that our schools are very important, and I want to be your full-time constable. That means I have already talked to my chief and told him that if I win constable, I'm going to be tendering my resignation. So I'll be full-time constable and nothing else. What else? I still work for Kirbyville. I've been there 8 years. I've worked for Jasper County. I was their mental health deputy. I stayed there about a year. I've worked for several different little departments, helping them out as a reserve while I was chief of security at Nacogdoches Memorial Hospital for a couple of years. And I worked for Newton as patrol deputy. But I specialize in basically crimes against children and stuff like that. Any questions?
Scott Jacks. I'm a Jasper County native. I was born and raised in Jasper County. I have 16 years law enforcement experience, and you can speak with any of my fellow law enforcement officers, and they'll all tell you I've worked narcotics my entire career. It's my passion. Narcotics is the root of nearly every crime. Murder, rape, robbery, assault. Every theft and every burglar out there is on drugs. And if you put the heat on them, send the bad ones to prison, send the ones that are doing it to prison, your call volume drops throughout the county, your burglaries and theft stops, and that's my passion in law enforcement. I've worked every aspect of law enforcement. I've worked from everything from bubblegum theft to murder. And for the last 10 years, I've worked solely narcotics. I'm very schooled in obtaining and writing narcotic search warrants. It's my passion. And I'm going to continue to work that as constable. The constable's job is to serve civil process. And it's a broad array of things, from warrants to subpoenas, divorce papers, lawsuits, to serve as the bailiff in JP court, and I'll fulfill all that. I'm going to fulfill all that. But it's historically been, that's all they do, serve their papers and go to the house. And I'm not that guy. I'm not a lazy guy. I love to work. You can ask my wife and kids how much I love to work. They may holler at you, but they'll tell you, yes, he loves the work. He loves his job. And I'm going to do it 100%. On the flip side of that, I went to Kirbyville High School, graduated from Kirbyville High School. My wife did. My oldest daughter did. My youngest daughter is a junior in Kirbyville High School. Even after my kids are out of school, I have so many friends and family that's a member of that school. And it's going to be my job to protect that school. I'm an active shooter instructor. And whether I go in there by myself or with somebody, if an active shooting incident happens, I'm going to stop it by myself or with somebody. For your kids or your grandkids or my kid or whoever, it does not matter to me. I'm going to stop it. I'm very proficient in stopping an active shooter. I know the whole Uvalde incidents came up. Us up here are not trained like they are in West Texas. We're much more proficient. And we will give our lives on a drop of a hat to protect one kid. We're not going to stand by for an hour. We're not going to stand by for 10 minutes. Like I said, when we pull up, we're going by ourselves or with somebody. And that is my focus on our schools. I'm 8 miles from this high school right here, and I'm 5 miles from Kirbyville High School. And I don't care if it's Jasper, and I don't care if it's Evadale. If a problem arises at the school, I'm gonna run everybody off the road to get there. And when I get there, I'm not gonna be playing games, and I'm gonna take care of business. Very passionate about what I do. I love this community. I love everybody up here. They're solid police officers that's done a career of good police work. And I just ask each of you for your vote, Precinct 3 for Jasper County Constable. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Chad Ainsworth. I'm a candidate for constable for Precinct 6, the Evadale area here in Jasper County. A little bit about my law enforcement career. I've been a police officer now for 31 years. Started my career with the Liberty County Sheriff's Office way back when, and while working in the jail, I put myself through the Jefferson County Sheriff's Academy. Since that time, I've worked in all aspects of law enforcement: corrections, patrol. I was a warrants deputy, a mental health deputy. I've been a school resource officer. But more importantly, or to my liking, what I love to do, like what Scott was talking about, his passion, I work narcotics and canine. I've worked 4 different canines in my career. I'm currently the canine sergeant for the Lumberton Police Department. Been with Lumberton now about 10 years. My goal, if elected as constable, is to bring a proactive, professional law enforcement presence to our constable's office. What's already been talked about is the number one priority, the constitutional job of the constable, is to serve civil process and be the court bailiff for the JP Court. That's not a lot of work. I plan on actually going out and patrol, helping the sheriff's office, take calls, make arrests when they need to be done, be a police officer. Our community in Precinct 6, because of logistics, because of its location, and because of lack of resources, tends to feel left out. Well, if the constable is the same police officer as the Jasper County Sheriff, as a Texas Ranger, or a DPS trooper, he's the same police officer. With that means he can go out and do the exact same job responsibilities as they do and be an asset to your community. Help take care of your home folks. Part of what I do also is I'm a police instructor. I'm a handgun instructor. I'm just a TCOL instructor. I teach firearms. I teach patrol rifle, and I also teach alert training, which is active shooter response. I also teach another class with a group of actual Vietnam veterans that is live fire active shooter response. It's called close quarter marksmanship. Crazy school. We're actually running around with live ammo, and if you want to know what it's like to get nerved up and have somebody behind you popping off rounds with a shotgun while you're clearing the house, it'll get your attention real quick. I too not only want to work on being proactive, but build a relationship with our school district. Evadale, because of location, again, is so far away from any type of response. We have a school resource officer there, but he is by himself. At this point right now, he doesn't have a radio, he doesn't have a patrol car. He is literally on an island by himself. If I'm elected constable, I will be at that school assisting him every day. Whether it's just to go in and make my presence be seen with a police unit sitting outside, go drink coffee with him, make rounds through the school, just to let folks know that, hey, there is law enforcement present. The best way that you can curb crime anywhere is having a presence. But not only having a presence, if you're there, be willing to work. Don't just drive by and turn a blind eye to things that are going on. Like Scott talked about, narcotics is the root of every problem we've got around here. I know it happens up here, it happens there where we live. Evadale ends up being a pass-through station coming out of North Orange County, going into the north end of Hardin County, and all points in between. It's wide open. And my job, I feel like if you're the constable and you're law enforcement in that area, you should be working and be proactive. I love what I do. Been doing this 31 years. I still love it. The most fun in the world is me holding on to the dumb end of that leash while that crazy dog of mine is out working. I love that. It is the most awesome thing in the world. And I want to continue to do that, and I want to work for my community where I live with my neighbors and my family. With that, I would really appreciate y'all's support in Precinct 6 and would love to be your next constable. Thank y'all.
Good evening. Thank y'all all for coming out to this great event. It's a very important event. My name is Scotty Duncan, and I'm running for Jasper County Sheriff. In 1996 is when I got my jailer's license, so that's how far I go back. But it actually goes back further than that. My mother and daddy he took a break from working construction and guided on Lake Livingston. So they owned and operated the Waterwood Marina. And in that course of action, the sheriff over there used to come get the bankroll from them and take that to the bank. In the course of doing that, he used to take me along with him to get ice cream and a hamburger. And that's where my love of law enforcement came from. It intrigued me as a young kid, and it's always intrigued me ever since then. So I started out as a jailer. I started out as a jailer for Jasper County. I've worked as a jailer. I've worked as a deputy. I've worked as a patrol supervisor, and I've worked as an investigator for Jasper County, and also as a narcotics investigator for this county. And I'm currently working as chief deputy. The license that I have says peace officer. I have every kind of certification that you can think of. I'm also a SWAT officer. I'm an operator for the SWAT team. So to introduce or to fix the problem or make it better for Jasper County Sheriff's, I come up with the first Jasper County SWAT team to combat active shooters for that purpose. It took me 7 years to get it off the ground because the mindset that we was all in was nobody wanted a bunch of teenage ninja turtles running around. was actually stated to me. But when Sandy Hook occurred, that got people's attention. That come to me, and they asked me to get that team off the ground. And I personally went to school board after school board after school board advocating for that to be implemented, to have help. So I know what it's like. I've actually been in a couple of different shootouts, one of which was the latest in Newton that lasted for up to 8 hours. So 750 rounds was fired in that shootout. And over 20 years of law enforcement, I learned more in that day than I ever have. Got the leg to prove it. This is not just a paycheck for me. This is a God-led passion. And I tell these deputies, your deputies right now, you can tell the difference between somebody doing it for a paycheck and somebody doing it for a passion, because you put your whole heart in it. This sheriff's office was a goal of mine from day one. It was my dream to become sheriff of Jasper County. So therefore, in doing that, with that mindset in my mind, every time I dealt with a situation or seen a sheriff, and I've worked for 6 different sheriffs, worked around a Paso more. Every time they was in an incident, I watched, I learned. Every time I was personally involved in an incident, I learned every time. I seen what they did that worked, seen what they didn't that didn't work. And I want to remind you that I'm the chief deputy for Jasper County Sheriff's Office. I am not the boss. I work for the sheriffs of the Jasper County. I work for Mitchell Newman. And he's been very loyal to my family, and I'm very loyal to my boss, as I'm very loyal to each and every one of you. We gain our whole career by 2 words: protect, serve. And if you don't do both of those words, you're not doing your job in completion. When I work narcotics for this county, and that means you work everything under the sun, from burglaries to thefts to murders, like Scott said, 99.9% of all your crimes in this county are derived from narcotics. Every family is touched by narcotics, but every family is also touched by mental health, by theft, by burglary. That's just one aspect of it, but it's all tied in together. So you have to have proactivity. And as chief, I learned so many more aspects of the job as a business side. There's a budget that we have to improve. There's things that these deputies, your deputies, go through on a daily basis. Right now, currently at full staff, which we have not been full staff in years. Very seldom have we say we've got full staff. It's for a couple of months. But as of right now, a deputy is responsible for 319 square miles. They're responsible for 7,458 citizens per officer. That's on a 2021 census. And we all know the population has grown since then. So being sheriff of Jasper County is more than just managing people. It's making sure that the sheriff's office stays humble, keeps the humanity in it, and the professionalism, and strives every day to make it better. Because sheriff, as I learned from watching 6 different sheriffs, you don't take it off. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I've literally and factually been on call since 2008. You can ask my wife. And I, at this time, want to thank my wife and family, because they serve just like I do, and I've had great support from them. This is a passion for me. I want to go the own way and make the sheriff's office one we can all be proud of. And that's got several issues we got to address. But I've started off as a jailer for this sheriff's office, and I've worked my way all the way to the top. As far as I know, if elected sheriff, I'll be the first sheriff of Jasper County that's done that, that's worked every aspect of your sheriff's office, that has a complete working knowledge of what it takes for a sheriff's office to function, and we've got to get back to being proactive. I'm a God-fearing man, I'm God-led. I'm not a perfect human being and not a perfect person. I don't know everything. My grandpa taught me at a young age. He said, never know everything about something, but try your best to know something about everything, because everything comes into play in life. And being the sheriff of a county, what I've learned for watching 6 different sheriffs, it's not just about being sheriff. It's about being a community leader. And it's important to have community support, because you can be whatever kind of sheriff you want to be, but if you don't have your community support, you're nothing. And that's very important to me, is community. I'm a DARE officer. I went to Florida to learn to be a DARE officer, to be a DARE instructor. We took over the DARE program here in Jasper County, and that is very important to me because that's a front line battle. That's an avenue that we can use to get to these children before the drug dealers do. In this county, I have found kids in dog cages. In your county. That's been real. That's not something out of a fiction story. That's something that I've personally experienced. And that happens right here in Jasper County. So these issues are real and important. Also the sexual assaults and the burglaries and thefts. Getting bicycles and getting kittens out of a tree. All of it means the same. It's got to be addressed because that's, if you call in with your bicycle stolen, that's important to you. It needs to be important to us. And that's why it's a passion for me. And I have a passion for being better. And my only political ambition is the sheriff's office. I have nothing past that point. That's a priority to me. And I want to leave it better than I found it. And it needs to be better. We need to go in the different directions. We need to get back to being proactive. And as your Jasper County Sheriff, that's one thing that I will make priority. So at this time, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming. I appreciate your support for the Sheriff's Office that you have now, because these deputies go out every day, and they serve. And they serve to the best of their abilities. And that's for just one thing. If you pat them on the back or say thank you, that means the world to them, because that helps morale. It gives them a little boost. So I appreciate you doing that. And at this time, I ask for your vote support for your next Jasper County Sheriff. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yes. My name is David Covey, and I am running to be your next state representative. And so it is a pleasure to come up here and spend a few minutes with you and get to introduce myself and hopefully take a few questions. You can remember my name for the hunters up here, a covey of what? Quail. So I hope that helps it stick in your mind. I grew up in Mauriceville, Texas, which is just a few miles south of here. And honestly, I've been involved in local grassroots politics as a Republican county chairman in Orange County. I really didn't have the intention to be running for state office, but I have had two boys. I have a 2-year-old and I have a 7-month-old, so they're not very far apart, but they are everything to me. And as I see the world that they're growing up in, I was convicted that I have to do my part to make sure that my boys still have the freedom and the opportunity that I've had growing up. And I think that applies to each of us. We all have to do our part to preserve that freedom and that prosperity and pass that on to the next generation. Well, when I look around at us, our world is in trouble. There are things that are not going well. And when I hear and see what's happening at the border, I believe as Texans, we have a right to protect our state and do what it takes to close the border. And most people would believe that. So my question is, why don't we? And I believe the answer to that is that we haven't had the political will to let our law enforcement do what they know how to do. Now, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Plum Grove. It's not too far from here, but there's a place called Colony Ridge that has arisen up. And this could happen anywhere. But this is what the Daily Wire is calling a community, the fastest growing community of illegal aliens who come in and buy land and houses without Social Security or proper identification. And they're beginning to come in, and law enforcement has said this is a haven for the Gulf Cartel, which is a Mexican drug cartel. It's happening right here in our state, not far from us. Neighbors, we've got to do what it takes to protect us, because in this open border situation that we're in, every county is a border county, and every person in these counties is a first responder. And so, as your next state representative, my first action will be to go in and file legislation to call an invasion at the border and to enforce and allow our law enforcement and military forces to do what it takes to close the border now. Now, Jasper makes up almost 30% of the vote. So this district is all of Jasper, all of Orange, and part of Jefferson County. Now, I'm only a little ways from you there in Mauriceville, but for too long, Jasper County and Orange have been like stepchild counties that are not fully represented. And so I believe as the larger and between us make up a larger portion of the population, we should have the say in who represents us as a state representative. And so everyone will get to vote in these counties, but wouldn't it be nice if you had access and had your state representatives showing up in Jasper County? And so that's my promise to you. If you elect me, I will show back up. I will be accessible to you. You will have my phone number, and I will represent your values in Austin, Texas. I ask you to consider me. My name again is David Covey. I'm running to be your next state representative, and I look forward to your questions here in the next few minutes. Thank you.